Hello, 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 ladies. Hi, how are you all tonight? Thank you guys for joining me. So I don't take this lightly because you could have chose anyone in the childcare industry to give you a little information about how to start a childcare center. And I just thank you for joining me and I thank you for choosing Childcare Boss Tish. I thank you. I've been in the industry 23 years. So you are in the right room in the right place at the right time, okay? So, tonight, again, we're going to talk about how to start a childcare center. I'm not going to go into depth because, again, I do consulting and I do coaching. It's a difference. The coaching is you want somebody there rooting you on as you're doing it yourself and you're getting things done and you just got questions or you say, how did you do it or what did you do? And so that's what I do when it comes to coaching and consulting. I literally can help you with your business plan. I help you with your portfolio. I help you get the classroom setup. Is so many different things that goes into consulting versus just coaching you along the journey as you are taking those steps into entrepreneurship to be a childcare owner. Who am I? I am Dr. Cortisha Cowan, also known as the Child Care Boss, BAWSE, not BOSS. And the reason why I say that is I had to take boss to another level. A boss to me in that level is someone that not only opens up the door for herself and her family, but she breaks the generational cycle of poverty off the backs of others by giving them a chance to work in the industry and learn. They're not just staff, they're team members. They're people who you truly want to see by your side and to watch you on your journey and to be with you on your journey. And so that's what I see as a boss. We're someone that impacts the world. I am also the founder and CEO of a nonprofit organization that helps homeless teenage mothers and their babies. I've been doing that for 17 years in Columbus, Ohio. I moved it to Georgia during the pandemic. And so, yes, I have been in the childcare industry 23 years. I was a teenage mother. So I moved to Columbus from Lima, Ohio in the year of 2000 to work at a childcare center, not knowing that that was going to be the blessing that helped me get to the level that I am now. I love, Care a Lot. I will always love Care a Lot with a K. The founder was from Venezuela and she taught me so much. I will never forget some of the things that I learned on my journey of being just a teacher in a child care center, knowing that it will impact years later. It will take me to a whole nother level, opening a child care center in my house and then opening up several child care centers in Columbus, Ohio. And not only my own child care centers, but I've helped over 68 other child care owners become child care centers. So it is embedded in me. It's something I love to do. On my social media platforms, you don't really see it as much because I literally got in the game and I just hit the ground running. And anybody that I've helped open up childcare centers, it just has been in the background because I love Mothers Helping Mothers, which is my nonprofit. I'm a speaker, a coach, an international coach. I have traveled all over the country speaking and talking about Mothers Helping Mothers and just how to be a business owner and how to just love your craft and love who you are. And so this year I decided I'm not going to just be the child care boss for Ohio, but I'm going to be the child care boss nationally and internationally. So I am here to help you no matter where you are in the world. I can help you dissect the child care rules and regulations for your state or your country, and we can get that thing going. So let's just get started tonight. I'm not going to be with you long. I am again, I sent you some worksheets in your email. You should have got two worksheets. One is the journey of the child care center, and the other one we may not get to tonight, but it's for your leisure, and it is how to what you should be doing during the licensing process of your child care center. So we're going to get started with our journey and what that looks like. So, what is your journey? What is the journey of opening a childcare center? Welcome to the Childcare Boss. You are a childcare boss. You've taken the first initiative by saying, you know what, either I have a childcare center and I'm ready to 10x it to the next level and get team members and not just staff members, and to build my ratio and to build my enrollment. And so that's what you're in the room for. Or it's your first time and you want to open a childcare center and you don't know where to start, but you know that you're a childcare boss because you came into the right room. So I'm going to show you, teach you, and help you as much as I can on this journey. Okay, so what is your why? to me, I say, let's jot down 3 things, guys. Let's think of the motivation. What is your why? Why are you doing this? And what would it do? What you have to be able to look at those whys. Let's go back a little bit. You have to be able to look at those whys, even in trials and tribulations that happen in the childcare industry. What would you be able to go back and look at? I know one thing for me is impacting my community. So I know for a fact that I didn't just want this childcare center to make money. I wanted to learn how I could impact my community, how to grow my legacy and help my children's children. That's my number 2. And number 3 was the freedom to be able to move about as I please, to be able to, set my schedule. Yes, even as a owner, you can set your schedule. It's a little more tough if you're setting it because you're the director and the owner. So for the first few years of having my childcare center, I actually blessed other women who wanted to be childcare directors and let them be the directors of my center. Not until 2016 did I actually be the director of my own location. I've always had a director. I've always been able to give someone that had a calling on running a childcare center but didn't have the desire to own their own, bring them on the team and allow them to run mine. So that is my 3 motivations. I want to impact my community. I want to build a legacy for my children's children. And I also wanted the freedom to be able to move around because, again, I have a nonprofit that helps homeless teenage moms. And so they need me and I need them, and I have to be available. I have to be available for the people that I coach as a business coach. And so that's what this did for me. It gave me an opportunity to be available for my people. Number 2, get connected with childcare providers, other childcare providers. Here you see myself and my cousin Katrina Towns. Was Katrina Towns, is now Katrina Tucker. It's been Katrina Tucker for over 15 years. And so I know her as Trina Towns, but she is definitely Katrina Tucker. And we are what we call the childcare duos. She's been in the childcare industry over 10 years, and I've been in the childcare industry over 23 years. Get connected with us by going to Let's 10X Your Childcare Early Childcare Program on Facebook. We have a group that we just started to get other childcare center owners to be able to get in the room with us. So you definitely want to get connected to us. That's number 2. I tell people, if you want to get in the childcare industry, you need to get around other childcare providers and other childcare owners. So that's what I would say. And get started by getting in our group on Facebook. We will also be on other platforms soon, but this is where we've started, right there on Facebook. But get into some communities, ladies. Number 3, research your local childcare regulations. And what I mean by that is, who is the licensing agency? Who do you need to contact with? For Ohio, it's Job and Family Services. For Georgia, it's Bright from the Start. So knowing who you should be connecting with. For some of you, because I knew your address on the form that you filled out, I was able to actually put your agency in the chat. So in the room, you will actually see your agency listed. Just scroll down, and I made sure that in this classroom, everyone had the regulations department that you need to go to. And then who is your local licensed agency? Again, once you get the local licensed agency and you get started on the process, that's when you will want to know what licensing department you need to contact. So put their information on that form that I gave you. I left it blank where you can put their licensing contact information. Who is your local licensing agency? And then what type of program are you going to open? Are you trying to open a childcare center, which is in a brick and mortar outside of your home, or are you going to open a home? I've done both, and they both are very rewarding. They just bring on different you just have different things that you would need to do. In the home, it's not as detailed and not as strong and not that much time consuming as it would be in a center, because you're looking about having staff, team, not the word staff. I like to use the word team. So you'll have your team, you'll have parents, you'll have programming and other things that you got to do when you do an actual center. You got to deal with fire and all of that, which is what I'm getting to in number 4. Number 4 is learning what your location would look like, understanding the fire rules and regulations for your state, understanding the health rules. What are the health and safety rules and regulations for your state? What is zoning? You have to know zoning. So when you go out and get a building, before before you actually sign the lease, ladies, go to the zoning department and say, here's the address. I would like to know if this could be such and such and such. And you want them to be able to tell you yes or no. In the state of Ohio, you have to have 6 parking spaces. So go to zoning and understand that stuff early. They don't get tired of hearing you come and get a little ticket or a little number and wait to see if the building that you're trying to do is approved for childcare. So don't get stuck into a lease. I had a lady yesterday who called me, who ended up, was the reason why I did my TikTok video. Don't go out here and get a building and not even know what you're dealing with. And so she's now stuck in a lease, trying to get out of a lease or figure out what she needs to know or what she needs to do to get to the next level to make that building a childcare center. So go to your zoning, and that's for those that are doing brick and mortars. So the zoning and building is for those that are going to be in an actual center. The fire you still have to do in Ohio if you're doing a house. They still require you to do a fire inspection. So I know it's not mandatory, but I did it because I just want to be safe. I don't want my parents to say, oh, well, you got, you had a fire and you never had a fire inspection. So I did it. And so make sure that you get that done. In the state of Ohio, you have to have a fire inspection as a home provider. Number 5 is your building. Building and zoning kind of go together when you're doing a center. So in Ohio, you can go to the zoning and building department, and they are right next door to one another. So they're in the same building. So I see zoning. Zoning says, yes, you can do the building. It's zoned approved for childcare. Then you say, okay, well, I got to go next door and see Mr. Dave and ask him, if that building, it's already had some plans drawn up for the childcare center. If you're not knocking down any walls or anything, you may or may not need an architect. Talk to your building people. They will help you out. Okay, my last thing, the very last thing that I say, is get to know the child care resources and referral agency. They're kind of different from the ones that license you. The resources in referral agencies are those that have like technical support and training classes. So in Ohio, you have Okra. In Georgia, you have Bright for the Start, which is with Decal. And so you're going to set up your profile, put in your information, your address. Then they're going to ask you like for your social, all your background information. And then you move to all of your education. Then you move to all of your trainings. And then they combine all that together and say, okay, you're level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 4. And then there's classes that you can take inside that website that will help you get ready to open your childcare center. Key thing here, if you're going to open up a center, in most states, you have to take an orientation class. Find out who they are and get in this site and fill it out, and then see if you have an orientation class that you have to take. So I know we're not going to make it to everything on this second sheet, but let's just talk about a few things. So the first thing when it comes to the licensing process, once you get your application started, you've found the resources, you've talked to them, they made you a level 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 based off of your education. If you're going to be the director, or if you're going to just be the owner and hire a director, you should be able to get a little bit or almost all of that information when you start your profile inside this resource and referral agency website, which is where you also see your quality rating stuff, your improvement systems, and all of that comes from those resource centers. So let's just jump a little bit into the licensing process and what that kind of looks like. Again, I'm not going to give you a lot because I go more in detail if you hire me as a consultant or a coach. But let's just talk about it. You need to take that child care orientation in most states. When is it? What is the title? On your sheet, I also put my schedule for the orientation date. Are you going to be in person, online? And then, do you have to go sit inside of a class and take the orientation, or can you take it online? I know here in Georgia, I've taken it every year just to stay on top of it. Even if you don't need to, I just take it. It gives you a couple more points. And so I take it, and I take it online, and it's about 6 hours the first time, but now it's about 3 hours for me because I kind of already know what I'm walking through. But I tell everyone that's starting a child care center, in home or in person, go on there and see if there's an orientation that you have to take. Then get started on your application process. Make sure you get started. Some it's online, everything is done online. Some you actually print out the packages and you work from it. Right now, I have a package out for Georgia because I'm helping a lady in Georgia, and Georgia is broke down like part A and then part B, and then you move on. So it just depends on per state. Per state. Some people you have to pay fees up front, and some you pay the fees at the end. Some fees are still waived because of COVID. You just don't know. Number 3, getting into your plan of operations, understanding what you're going to do when it comes to running your center, your business plan, your parent handbook, your all of the things that you need in a plan of operations is what you're going to start working on once you get on this licensing processing. What trainings do you and your team need to take? Pediatric CPR and first aid, health and safety, communicable disease training. If you're going to be the director, in most states you need the 40-hour director's training, and then there's ongoing trainings. But again, you will find all of that information on the child care resource and referral page that we talked about earlier. So again, you got some really good key points on this paperwork, but your best friend is going to be your licensing agency and your child care resource and referral agencies. And then last but not least, again, we were talking about the fire, the building, and the safety. What inspections will you have to have at a child care center? On the form, you should see that at number 5. It's going to be fire, zoning and building, and then food safety. So again, those are the things that you will have to go through on the licensing process. So you have 2 forms. You have one on the journey of how to start your child care center, and then I should have emailed you, or my assistant Kelly should have emailed you about the licensing process. Those 2 sheets, and if you don't have them, just let me know so that I can get those sheets to you. Again, thank you so much for being a part of this training, this quick overview and workshop about how to start a child care center. Once we get offline, I will definitely stay on here for another 10 or 15 minutes to answer questions for anybody that have questions. Because this was a free workshop, I just gave you the beginning stages of what it takes to operate a professional child care center, or how to get started on your journey. These 2 papers alone should be enough. And then you also have, I gave you courtesy and put some little note paper behind it. So if you got it and you printed it out, you can, if you jotted down any questions, I can answer those when we get offline. But again, I'll stay on here. I said it was about a 20-25 minute class. And so we're about 17 minutes in, and I just wanted to make sure that I thank you for coming. Our email address is at the top at 10xyourchildcare@gmail.com. If you want coaching or consulting services, you can reach out to me at that email above. Myself or Miss Katrina, Evangelist Katrina, will get back with you. And again, you can also go to my Instagram and click on the link. It'll be a link in the bio. Click on it, and at the very top, you might see the class first, because I'm doing another one on the 23rd, or you might see somewhere down through there, you will see book a call, and just book a call with me so we can figure out how I can help you. We can do business plans. I do those individually, or it can be packaged in. I also do handbooks. I help you with your curriculum. It just depends on where you are and what you actually need. So again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And after we close out and I stop the recording, I will stay on for another 10 to 15 minutes to answer any questions that you ladies may have. And again, if you know anybody that wants to take this free webinar training, just send them to my Instagram page, and they can look in my bio, and it should be the very first one. They can also follow me on any social media platforms at Dr. Cortisha Cowan, and they'll see where I keep posting the link to this class, the same webinar you just took. And it'll also be live on Instagram in a few days if I don't have time to get it on there tonight. So again, thank you, ladies, and I'm going to stay after just a little bit to answer some final questions before we wrap up. Have a good evening, everybody.